Greetings my fellow knights and welcome back to Recon by Fire. For today's battle, Zach is in the house and he is bringing his Space Wolves in the Saga of the Beastslayer detachment. He is bringing Logan Grimnar leading a 10-man squad of Terminators, Arjac Rockfist leading a 5-man squad of Terminators, a Librarian in Phobos armor leading 5 Infiltrators, 5 lone Infiltrators, a Combi Lieutenant, 2 Redemptor Dreadnaughts, and 2 Vindicators. Imperial Knights are running this Spearhead at Arms detachment, and they are bringing a Castigator with the Mentor's Pride enhancement, a Knight Defender, 4 Helverins, 4 Warglaives, and because there's some points left over, a Priest to guard the home objective. For today's battle, we are running Mission Pack Bravo, which is Supply Drop. Deployment is Tipping Point, and we are playing on terrain layout number 7. For pre-game actions, the southern objective will be disappearing on round 4, and the northern objective will disappear on round 5. Combi Lieutenant will select the center objective for its ability. Imperial Knights select to hold more objectives than their opponent as their oath, and reroll 1 hit and 1 wound as their quality. Top of round 1 and the Imperial Knights are going first. They will draw no prisoners and marked for death as their secondaries for the turn. Gamma target is the Infiltrators. Defender will bondsman the 3 Warglaives in front of it, and the Castigator will bondsman the 3 Helverins nearby as well. Start of the movement phase, the red Helverin will advance 4 inches to make it onto the natural expansion. Knight Castigator will plow through the wall, succeeding its leadership check and supporting the Squire. Bone Warglaive will move right up against the wall that the Infiltrators are hiding behind. Not wanting to give the Knights an easy charge, Zach will spend a command point to reactive move the Infiltrators off the template, and the Combi Lieutenant will reactive move off of its datasheet. Green Warglaive will move out to the board edge to make sure there's no room for a turn 1 deep strike. Black Warglaive is going to attempt to push that deep strike as far back as possible and will move on to the center objective. Gold Warglaive will move towards the center but remain off the objective to deny the rerolls to wound. Defender will perform a slight reposition to continue to screen out the 9-inch deep strike. Legion Helverin will do the same. Start of the shooting phase, the Black Warglaive will fire its stubber into the Infiltrators but score no wounds. Warglaive then needs a 7 to make it into the Gamma target and rolls a 4. That is going to end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will hold on to no prisoners for next turn and will discard Marked for Death for a command point. Bottom of round 1 for the Space Wolves, they will draw Storm Hostile Objective and Area Denial as their secondaries for the turn. They'll generate an additional command point thanks to Bjorn, and Oath of Moment is the Black Warglaive. Start of the movement phase, the Vindicator will peek around the corner to gain line of sight on both armigers. Redemptor Dreadnaught will push as far forward as it can, getting all the way through the building. Lieutenant with Combi Weapon will roll a 4 on the advance and make it onto the center objective. The second Vindicator will move wholly within the building and as far into cover as it can. Second Redemptor will move around the outside of the building to gain line of sight down the center firing lane. Infiltrators will remain on the expansion but spread out to screen out the table edge. Bjorn will move into the nearby building. Logan and the 10-man brick of Terminators will arrive 9 inches away from the Helverin on the Knight's natural expansion. Start of the shooting phase, the Redemptor will fire into the Golden Warglaive and brings it down to 11 wounds. First Vindicator fires into the same target and leaves it at just 6 wounds remaining. Second Vindicator fires into the Gold Warglaive and manages to take it down. It does Deadly Demise, dealing 3 to the nearby Defender and 2 to the nearby Warglaive. Second Redemptor sends everything into the Black Warglaive and knocks it down to just 6 wounds remaining. It's charge o'clock. Logan and company will need a 9 to make it into the Helverin and roll an 8. Command reroll and it fails. Redemptor into the Warglaive on the center objective needs a 6 and they roll a 4. Oh no. Then to add insult to injury, the second Redemptor needs a 10 and it gets the 9. That is unfortunate. I know that is not the way Zach hoped that turn will go, but it is going to be the end of his turn, and he will hold on to both Storm Hostile Objective and Area Denial. That means the Imperial Knights do control more objectives than their opponent at the end of the turn and will complete their oath, giving them 2 additional command points. Top of round 2 for the Imperial Knights, they held on to no prisoners and will draw Area Denial as their secondaries for the turn. They will Insane Bravery the Black Warglaive and score 10 points on primary. The Defender will bondsman the 3 nearby Warglaives, and the Castigator will bondsman the 3 Helverins from last turn. Start of the movement phase, the Legion Helverin will move wholly within the center terrain feature. The Red Helverin will move along the table edge to maintain control of the objective but have line of sight on the Terminators. The Bone Warglaive will make it all the way around the building to seize control of the objective and be within melta range of the Vindicator. Green Warglaive will move towards the center but remain 9.1 inches away from the Combi Lieutenant. The Knight Defender will move into the terrain feature to have line of sight on just about everything. Neon Helverin will arrive from strategic reserves to pick up the screen of the backfield. Castigator is going to move 9.1 inches away from the Combi Lieutenant but be 8 inches away from the Vindicator inside the terrain feature. Black Helverin will do a slight reposition for line of sight down the firing lane, and Space Wolves are going to spend a command point to rapid ingress Arjac and the Terminators behind cover. Start of the shooting phase, Black Helverin will fire into the Redemptor across the way and bring it down to 8 wounds remaining. Black Warglaive sends the spear into the Vindicator, knocking off 3 wounds, and the stubber into the Combi Lieutenant, dealing 2 damage. Red Helverin will fire into the Terminators, picking up 1 of them. Castigator fires into Logan and the Terminators with -1 to wound. Twin Linked helps out quite a bit and it picks up 5 of them. Bone Warglaive will fire the stubber into the Infiltrators, dealing no damage, and the spear with Melta turned on will fire into the Vindicator, and without smoke, the tank goes boom. Legion Helverin will fire into the Terminators, picking up 1 of them and wounding a 2nd. Green Warglaive absolutely whiffs firing into the Vindicator, but the stubber plinks off a wound of the Combi Lieutenant. The Knight Defender sends the conversion beam into the Terminators, picking up 1 of them, and the plasma into the Vindicator, dealing 3 damage. Charge O'Clock and the Bone Warglaive will barely make it into the Infiltrator squad. The Black Warglaive will make the charge into the Combi Lieutenant. Castigator needs an 8 to make it into the Vindicator and staying out of engagement range of Logan and company, and rolls a 5. Command reroll and it's in with exactly an 8. Bone Warglaive will strike into the Infiltrators and picks up 2 of them, taking no damage on the crackback. Black Warglaive will sweep into the Combi Lieutenant and picks him up. The Castigator uses its strike profile, dealing 18 damage to the Vindicator and taking it off the board. That is going to end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will score 5 points for Area Denial and 5 points for no prisoners. Bottom of round 2 for the Space Wolves, they held on to both Storm Hostile Objective and Area Denial as their secondaries for this turn. They control no objectives in No Man's Land and will score 0 points on primary. If you're enjoying battle reports in this format, then take a moment to let us know by hitting that like button. Oath of Moment is now the Castigator, and Bjorn will generate an additional CP. Start of the movement phase, the Redemptor Dreadnaught will head towards the center objective. Bjorn will move around the building and head towards the Bone Warglaive. Infiltrators are going to dogpile on the natural expansion, stealing it away from the Warglaive. Arjac and the 5 Terminators will move towards the Bone Warglaive to support Bjorn. Logan and the 2 Terminators move in on the Castigator. Imperial Knights will fire Overwatch with the nearby Helverin and fails to pick up a model. Start of the shooting phase, Bjorn will fire into the Castigator and it makes the 5-up invul. His Flamer into the nearby Warglaive and it deals 1 damage. Arjac's Hammer into the Bone Warglaive, no joy. Redemptor Dreadnaught into the Castigator brings it down to 25. Logan into the Castigator, but no joy. Second Redemptor will fire everything into the Castigator and leave it at just 21 wounds remaining. It's charge o'clock and Bjorn will make the first charge into the Bone Warglaive. Arjac and the Terminators are in as well. First Redemptor makes the charge into the Black Warglaive on the center objective, and the second Redemptor will make the dual charge into both the Warglaive and the Castigator. It will burn a command point to tank shock, dealing 2 mortal wounds to the Castigator. Lastly, Logan and the Terminators will make the charge into the Castigator. Redemptor swings into the Castigator and leaves it at just 9 wounds. Zack burns a command point to give Logan and company +1 to wound, and they will swing into the Castigator, proving to be enough to fell the Knight. Second Redemptor swings into the wounded Warglaive, and -1 incoming damage proves to be valuable as it survives at just 2 wounds remaining. Arjac and company are up next, and they swing into the Warglaive, making absolutely short work of it. It does deadly demise though, dealing 1 to the Terminators, 0 to Bjorn, and 1 to the Infiltrators. Warglaive on the center attacks the wounded Redemptor, bringing it down to just 4 wounds remaining. That is going to end the turn for the Space Wolves. They will score 4 points for Storm Hostile Objective, but unfortunately did not score Area Denial and will hold on to it for next turn. Top of round 3 for the Imperial Knights, they will draw a Tempting Target and Defend Stronghold as their secondaries for the turn. Tempting Target will be the Southern Objective. They control 1 objective in No Man's Land and will score 5 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, the Neon Helverin will push as far forward as it can to get a thin line of sight into Logan's squad. Green Warglaive will move as far away from Bjorn and Arjac as possible. In a heads-up play, Zack will spend a command point to react to move Logan out of line of sight as much as possible. Black Helverin will move towards the center objective. With the reactive move now burned, the Black Warglaive will fall back out of combat and away from Arjac. Knights will spend 2 command points due to the Vect aura to allow it to fall back and shoot. Legion Helverin will push towards the northern side of the board to regain line of sight into Logan. Knight Defender will remain in the building but move north to force Arjac to make a 10-inch charge. Start of the shooting phase, and the Knight Defender will fire its conversion beam into the wounded Redemptor, taking it off the field. The remaining weapon systems go into the second Redemptor, but no joy. Imperial Knights will spend 2 command points to give 1 Helverin and the 2 Warglaives rapid fire. Black Helverin will fire into the Redemptor, but nothing doing. Neon Helverin will fire into the same target, chipping away 2 wounds. Red Helverin will send everything into Logan and company, and they make all their saves. Green Warglaive fires all 3 Melta shots into the Redemptor and turns it to slag. The Stubber goes into the nearby Terminators and plinks off the final wound, picking up 1 of them. The wounded Warglaive fires into Logan and company, picking up the final Terminator and leaving Logan alive at 3. The Legion Helverin sends everything into Logan and finally takes the Warlord down. That will end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will discard a tempting target for a command point, and Defend Stronghold is ongoing. Bottom of round 3 for the Space Wolves, they held on to Area Denial and will draw behind enemy lines as their secondaries for the turn. They control 1 objective and will score 5 points on primary. Bjorn will put them up to 3 command points, and the Green Warglaive is the Oath of Moment. Start of the movement phase, and Bjorn will move on to the template and gain line of sight on practically everything. Arjac and the Terminators are going to leapfrog Bjorn and head towards the center as well. Infiltrators are going to advance across the board and hide behind the center terrain feature. Pretty quick shooting phase for the Space Wolves, as Bjorn will fire into the Green Warglaive, chipping away 4 wounds. Arjac and the Terminators attempt the 10-inch charge into the Green Warglaive. They roll a 6, command reroll into another 6. Bjorn will then roll a 9 on his charge, but needed a 10. Oof. Missing both charges is unfortunate, and that will end the turn for the Space Wolves. They will discard both Area Denial and behind enemy lines. Imperial Knights will score 3 points for defending their stronghold. Top of round 4 for the Imperial Knights, and they will draw Assassination and establish Locust as their secondaries for the turn. The southern objective will disappear, and the Imperial Knights control 2 objectives, scoring them 16 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, the red Helverin will move into the enemy deployment zone to establish locus. Black Helverin will move back just a scotch and allow the neon Helverin to move in front of it so they both have line of sight into Arjac. In what I think is a mistake, instead of solidifying control of the center, the Knight Defender will move as far away from Arjac and Bjorn as possible. Their green Warglaive will maintain line of sight on the Space Wolves but move to the far side of the objective. The Warglaive on 2 wounds will reposition to be just inside 18 inches of Arjac. The Legion Helverin will tow on to the center objective. Start of the shooting phase, and the Knight Defender will fire the conversion beam into the Terminators, picking up 4 of them. Bjorn will then pop smoke, making him -1 to hit. Plasma goes into him, Hazard deals 3 damage to the Defender, and Bjorn takes 2. Black Warglaive completely whiffs, firing into Bjorn, dealing 0 damage. And the Legion Helverin brings Bjorn down to 1. The remaining Armigers all fire into Arjac and company, but they absolutely rock their saves and take no damage. That will end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will score 4 points for establishing locus behind enemy lines and hold on to assassination for next turn. Bottom of round 4 for the Space Wolves, they will draw recover assets and no prisoners as their secondaries for the turn. They unfortunately don't control any objectives and will score 0 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, and the Librarian will peek out through the other side of the building. Bjorn moves on to the center objective. Overwatch from the nearby Helverin, but unfortunately no joy. Arjac and the Terminators move on to the center objective. The second squad of Infiltrators move in on the red Helverin. The Librarian will chuck a grenade into the black Warglaive and picks it up. Then the squad will fire into the green Warglaive, knocking it down to 8 wounds. Bjorn fires into the green Warglaive, command reroll to try to save it, but it still takes 4 wounds. Infiltrators fire into the red Helverin but deal no damage. It's charge o'clock, and Bjorn will make the dual charge into both Armigers. Command point to tank shock the green Warglaive, but it survives at a single wound. Arjac gets the 7 on the charge to make it into the Helverin, and the Infiltrators are in as well. Infiltrators near the home objective make it into the red Helverin. Infiltrators and the Terminators both swing into the Helverin, but suppression and -1 incoming damage is huge, and it only suffers a single wound. Bjorn is up next and will split attacks, sending 2 into the wounded Warglaive, and it does just enough to pick it up. It does not explode. The remainder of the attacks go into the Helverin, and it survives at 7 wounds, which is huge because it means it's not bracketed and will not lose OC. Red Helverin and the second squad of Infiltrators will slap fight each other and nothing doing. That is going to end the turn for the Space Wolves. They will score 4 points for no prisoners and discard recover assets. With the Helverin having more objective control over the center objective than the Space Wolves, they will score 15 points on primary at the start of their turn, so our players are going to call the game here. That is going to make the final score 73-23 in favor of the Imperial Knights. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far in the video, please consider dropping us a like and subscribing to the channel, as it will let us know that you would like to see more content like this. But that will do it for today, so until next time, as always my friends, happy gaming.